I think there's a skill that no one talks about, simply because it doesn't have a name yet. But I think that skill is the most important of the 21st century. And in this video, I'd like to explain to you what it is, how you can start practicing it, and this video will only be the first of a few videos where I'll explain more context about this skill. So let's go. What do you think is the difference between people who succeed at what they want to do and the ones who fail? There is the so-called hustle culture. You probably know about it. The hustle culture claims that it only has to do with hard work and effort. If you put in a lot of work, if you put in a lot of effort, then you will be successful at whatever you're trying to do. And while I agree that it doesn't just have to do with talent, because innate talent is maybe a good starting point, but it won't define where you end up. At the same time, I disagree with hustle culture because it simply doesn't just have to do with the time you spend doing something. And that's something that, well, Malcolm Gladwell with his 10,000 hour rule at some point said, you only need to do something for 10,000 hours. But a guy named Karl Anders Ericcsson basically proved him wrong with his deliberate practice. If you don't know Karl Anders Ericcsson, I do recommend you check out his book, which is called Peak: Secrets from the New Science of Expertise. So he scientifically tried to research about how people actually get better at anything. So if it's not just talent or hard work, what is it? And here I would like to invite you to a short thought experiment. Let's assume you and I both, we know nothing about artificial intelligence, but we agree that for the next 6 months, we want to spend the majority of our time to learn about it, to practice everything connected to artificial intelligence, do our own projects, and after 6 months, we then compare who of us is better. So what do you think will be the defining factors if we both spent the same amount of time doing something with it, we have the same information available, if we have the same teachers available, we have access to the same coaches, and so forth. And I think this is where the skill I'm talking about becomes the most obvious. Because the skill I'm talking about, I like to call objective contextualization. I know, it's a very theoretical term. Right now it only exists in my head, and I'm trying to figure out it for myself where I can explain it the best and where and how I can measure it most. For our thought experiment, what it means is that what will make the difference between the two of us is who of us knows how to put the information that we have available into actionable knowledge. And this is one of the factors that objective contextualization contains. So the information that we have available, how can we turn that into actionable knowledge, into something that I can actually do something with? And the reason why I like to call it objective contextualization is that in each and every living moment, we are in an emotional state. And the emotional state that I am in right now defines how I am processing information. So for example, if I'm very anxious at the moment, you come to me with a new piece of advice, a new piece of information, I will not listen to you. Or even worse, I will maybe pin my feeling on you or the piece of advice you're giving me. And if I cannot distinguish one from the other, so what's inside of me and what's been carried towards me, well then I'm probably not very good at the objective contextualization. And that's why I like to call it objective, because it's a huge part of the skill. And the reason why I like to call it contextualization is that no information that we have available exists freely. No piece of information that we have in our minds that exists online is basically independent. Everything is connected. And the better I am at putting the things that I learn into perspective, So into perspective for myself and into perspective to other things that will define how good I am or how good I can become at anything. This video is more or less just an invitation to join me on that quest to find more about objective contextualization. Simply because I feel like there is a skill that doesn't have a name yet. There is something that nobody talks about, but from my point of view is the most important skill of the 21st century. Because we have all the information we need available at our fingertips at any given moment if we have an internet connection. But the information and the effort and the talent doesn't make the real difference. What makes the real difference is how you and I can put what we read there, what we learn there, into practice, into something actionable. And if you want to join, if you want to find out more about objective contextualization, please subscribe to that channel. Let me know what you think about it. If you think there is in fact a word that describes that, or the questions that you have about it. I'm happy if you're joining. See you soon.